Long before cities, cars, or roads existed, our planet was going through a brutal freezing period called the Ice Age, where massive sheets of ice, taller than the highest skyscrapers, covered the top half of the world and locked away huge amounts of ocean water. Because so much water was frozen solid into these giant glaciers, the sea levels dropped dramatically around the entire globe, shrinking the oceans and revealing hidden pieces of land that had been underwater for millions of years. Deep in the cold, harsh lands of Siberia and Asia, groups of incredibly tough, brave, ancient humans were fighting to survive in sub-zero temperatures, using thick animal skins to stay warm, and crafting sharp stone spears to hunt enormous woolly mammoths and wild horses. These early people were always on the move, living as nomads who constantly tracked large herds of migrating animals to find enough meat and fur for their families, completely unaware that their endless search for survival was about to lead them to an undiscovered continent. As they followed the giant beasts toward the rising sun, they walked out onto a massive strip of dry, grassy land that had suddenly appeared because the ocean had pulled back, creating a natural land bridge connecting Asia to North America. This incredible place was called Beringia, and it was not just a tiny, narrow path, but a vast, wild territory hundreds of miles wide, covered in tough grass, freezing winds, and running herds of caribou, giant bison, and musk oxen. For thousands of years, families lived right there on this land bridge, setting up camps, making fires, and slowly taking step after step, moving further east across the freezing landscape without ever knowing they were actually leaving one continent and entering a whole new world. Eventually, the Earth slowly began to warm up, and the giant ice walls that blocked their path southward started to melt and split apart, opening up a narrow pathway between two towering mountains of ice, creating a muddy, dangerous, but walkable road straight down into the heart of North America. At the exact same time, other brave explorers decided not to wait for the ice to melt or walk through the treacherous land corridors, but instead built sturdy little boats from carved wood and animal skins, paddling bravely along the edges of the frozen coastline where the ocean met the land. These skilled ancient sailors followed what we now call the Kelp Highway, a coastal route rich with thick underwater forests of seaweed that attracted seals, seabirds, and endless schools of fish, allowing them to safely hop from one island to another as they traveled all the way down the Pacific coast. Whether they walked through the spooky, dripping ice corridors where roaring rivers of meltwater rushed past them, or paddled through the crashing ocean waves under the stars, these ancient travelers eventually stepped foot onto land that no human eyes had ever seen before, a wild, untamed paradise bursting with fresh life. They found themselves standing in enormous, endless green forests, crossing wide, roaring rivers, and coming face to face with unbelievable, terrifying creatures like huge saber-toothed cats with fangs as long as daggers, giant ground sloths as tall as trees that ate leaves right off the high branches, and ferocious, short-faced bears that could run faster than a galloping horse. Slowly but surely, these incredibly smart and adaptable humans spread out across the new lands, with some groups staying in the snowy forests of the north, others moving into the hot, sandy deserts, and some continuing their incredible journey all the way down into the thick, steamy rainforests and high mountain peaks of South America. They learned how to track new animals, gather new fruits and seeds, and build different types of shelters using mud, wood, and stone, turning from wandering hunters into the very first Native Americans. These original explorers were the ultimate survivors, relying entirely on their sharp minds, close teamwork, and unstoppable bravery to conquer a completely unknown wilderness, laying the foundation for thousands of years of rich history and completing the greatest, most daring adventure in the entire history of human survival.